of what brought us here today. At 03:38, early morning hours of Monday, the Tulare County Sheriff's Office was dispatched to a home in the 6800 block of Harvest Road in Goshen. Multiple shots had been fired. I had mentioned before that people reporting the shots fired believe that there was an active shooter in progress. Deputies arrived on the scene exactly 7 minutes later. When they arrived, deputies immediately noticed 2 victims dead in the street. It was later learned that the 911 call actually came from a surviving victim of this shooting. They had not received any injuries from a shooting. They were hiding. Deputies then found a 3rd shooting victim in the doorway of the home. As deputies searched the area, they found multiple victims in the same area at the scene on the property. There were victims both inside the home and outside of the home. We're able to identify those victims today and provide those to you. Many of you have already discovered who they are through social media. I would caution you, please don't be listening to factual information from social media. That is not where you will find your facts. I will keep you informed. I will make sure that you have what we have as we are able to release it to you for the integrity of the case. If you have questions, please reach out to our media services here at the Sheriff's Office. What we're able to give you, we will. One of the victims, when deputies arrived, was still alive. He immediately began CPR. Unfortunately, he died at the hospital. The victims are here. Eladio Perez, 52 years of age. Marcos Perez, 19 years of age. Jennifer Anaya, 49 years of age. Rosa Perez, 72 years of age. Alyssa Perez, 16 years of age. And Nicholas Perez, 10 months of age. I'd like to make a correction. On scene that night, we believe that the young teenage female was 17 years old. In fact, we later learned that she was 16 years old, and I believe I put out that she was 17. We also believed at the time that the infant was 6 months old. We later learned that it was 10 months old. So I want to make that correction for all of you today. She was 16, and the small infant was 10 months old. She was found, along with the infant, laying next to her mother, his mother, down the street. We believe that the 16-year-old teenage mother and her small infant actually was fleeing and running from the scene. What we have since learned through forensics, that it was clear that the shooters stood over the top of the 16-year-old mother and fired rounds into her head. The 10-month-old infant also suffered from the same attack. None of this was by accident. It was deliberate, intentional, and horrific. I will tell you this. We do know of 3 surviving victims from this, what we're describing as a massacre. 3. We will be interviewing them and collecting as much information as we can. There was one person inside the home hiding as they could hear the gunfire erupting inside the home. The description from him is that he was in such a state of fear that all he could do was hold the door, hoping that he was not the victim. Detectives, at this point, we do believe that we are in the search for 2 known suspects. Potentially a 3rd in an escape vehicle, but we don't know that to be true. This is going off a hypothesis from law enforcement. But we do know that, in fact, we have 2 suspects. It is very clear that this family was a target and that there are gang associations involved as well as drug investigations with this in this home. But let me make this very clear. Not all these people in this home were gang members, and not all of these people in this home were drug dealers. The 16-year-old female is an innocent victim. The grandmother inside appears to be an innocent victim, and definitely this 10-month-old child is an innocent victim. I'll tell you a little bit of the history of the home. On January 3rd of this year, Tulare County Sheriff's Office patrol officers conducted what we call a parole compliance check. Basically what that is when we know people who are on felony parole and are in the community, we will stop and make sure that they're abiding by the law. This compliance check done on January 3rd is the same home where the massacre occurred on Monday. This is a known home to our department. This is where gang activity has routinely occurred in the past. During that compliance check, deputies saw shell casings laying on the ground outside the home. When asked if we could go inside and search, they refused, and that's where the search warrant was written. We obtained a legal search warrant from a judge, and we were able to do a search warrant of the home. And we found Eladio Perez, who was already on felony convictions, was in possession of ammunition, felon in possession of a firearm, felon in possession of a short-barreled rifle, felon in possession of an assault weapon, a loaded weapon in possession of a firearm, and possessions of a controlled substance. He unfortunately was able to bail out 4 days later. So law enforcement, doing their due diligence in community service and protection, part of our duties is to go into these homes and try to remove guns, drugs, and that type of activity. And this home was known to us. That's how I'm able to say that this is a gang-related activity. I have also been quoted as saying this was a cartel-like execution. Make no mistake, I'm not saying that this is a cartel, but also be clear that I am not eliminating that possibility. These people were clearly shot in the head, and they were also shot in places that the shooter would know that quick death would occur. This is also similar to high-ranking gang affiliations in the style of execution that they commit. So we don't know if it is a gang-affiliated shooting, a cartel affiliation, or if the two are combined. But what we can tell you is the manner in which this has occurred is definitely one of the two, if not combined. As the investigation unravels and we're able to confirm one or the other, you will be the first to know. Detectives, as far as man hours, detectives have been working 24 hours a day. And when I say that, I don't mean they go home at midnight and get back up again at 7 in the morning. We have investigators working literally 24 hours a day. With forensic analysis and the collection of forensics, we have our crime lab, digital forensics, our coroner's office, and property and evidence. There has literally at this point been hundreds of items of evidence collected. And we expect more items of evidence to be collected. As of this press conference, detectives are still canvassing the area, looking for surveillance videos, asking for the public's help. And so here today, within this conference, I'm also asking for the public's help. Anyone in that area, if you have a business, it is an industrial area very nearby in the Goshen area, there are residences with ring cameras, there are video all over. Between the hours of 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., we're asking you to go back, take a look at your business videos. Go back and look at your home videos. Doesn't matter how far away you were from the scene. Any video evidence that you find suspicious, please contact the Tulare County Sheriff's Office. We want to look at it. Take the time to go look at your business video and your ring camera videos and report what you have and save what you have. I would also like to commend and thank the law enforcement community that has come out in support and offering assistance in this investigation. Behind me today, of which I received phone calls within hours, from the ATF, FBI, Homeland Security, DEA, Department of Justice, and the California Department of Corrections. Every one of them called within hours, offering resources and assistance. I have them with me today behind me. I have our investigators, our captains of investigations, but I also have those federal agencies. We are pulling out all stops. We are turning over every rock. Every bit of information in the community that you feel is suspicious or that you would like to give us, we want it. I received a phone call from U.S. Congressman Jim Costas. He offered victim support. He sits on a committee for victims of these types of crimes and have offered federal support for our victims. And we must remember, we have victims. I will bring you up to date as to autopsies. Autopsies on the bodies have started today. They will likely be completed on Friday. That'll be part of the information in our next press conference that I'll be able to provide. I want to introduce Joshua Jackson, Special Agent in charge with the ATF, and he will speak about our $10,000 reward that we are now offering.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Joshua Jackson. I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge for the San Francisco Field Division ATF. ATF's mission is simple and clear. It is to prevent, reduce, and solve violent crime. In this particular instance, solving this investigation is a priority of this investigative team. Law enforcement, we know, pooling all resources, our expertise, and our partnerships, federal, state, and local partnerships, will give us the best result to bring justice to these victims. In addition to the investigative team that you guys see behind us, is we are asking, as the sheriff mentioned, assistance from the public, and part of that is announcing this reward of up to $10,000 for information to help move this investigation forward. Please contact the local sheriff's office here with any information that can lead the investigation further. ATF will provide all resources at our disposal to support this team and be a part of this to its conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Joshua. So I want to announce the community as well. There's a $10,000 reward. We have more money coming in from groups that are offering special reward, and we anticipate that that reward will go up. I want to give a note of caution as we begin to conclude and potentially open it up for questions. I know today you're wanting as much information as you possibly get. I want to reassure you that I know a lot. There's a lot I can't tell you. I can tell you that there is a great deal of amount of work that is going into the intelligence side of this investigation. I know a lot, but we do need the public's help. The public's help will help support not only theories, but the IT side, the technical side of things that we're looking at as well. So when I say that, if I don't answer your question, it's because they're watching too. When you put this information out, they want to know what we know. What I will tell them is we know a lot. We anticipate that there will be arrests. When that occurs, I can't say that that happens in a week's time or even a month's time. But what I can tell you is that we will be slow, methodical, accurate, precise, and that we will make sure that when we make these arrests, that this investigation for the victims, these people will be held to justice. So with that, I'll conclude. I'll open it up to questions. I just wanted to be able to bring you and the community up to date. Again, to the community, this was not a random act of violence. This was a very specific, targeted act of violence. So I don't want the community to be scared or worried. I will say that I have received, not only on social media, but personal phone calls, text messages, as well as many of my staff, heartfelt condolences for the family and this young 10-month-old child, young teenage mother, the grandmother inside the home. Innocent victims. Should have never occurred. We want to hold them to justice. So with that, I will open it up to questions, and if I can answer.
Sheriff, you mentioned you're still working out if it's a gang or cartel organized group. Do you believe them to be local, whether it's any of those groups?
Well, when it comes to certain gangs, as well as the cartel, there is local connection that spreads across the state. I can tell you that some of our investigations have already led outside the county.
Sheriff, during your time as sheriff here in Tulare County, is this one of the most serious things you have seen?
I've been with the sheriff's office for 36 years. And the world that we live in, as far as investigating and working for our victims, is an ugly world. This is one of the most egregious that I have seen. However, I have seen many very similar to it. What I have not seen is the very apparent murder of a 10-month-old child for no reason. What I have not seen is the very clear assassination style to the head of a teenage mother. That I have not seen. It's egregious.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
So was Eladio Perez the intended person that they were after, but everyone else was an innocent victim of this crime?
Okay, so I know a lot, but I can't answer that question. What I want to tell you is I don't believe he was the initial intended target.
Why do you think they were targeted?
It's a great question, and I know the answer to it, but I can't tell you.
Have you dealt with a lot of cartel crime in the past, or like what's the spectrum on that?
Well, I can tell you that we do have cartels here in the Central Valley. We do have cartel in Tulare County. I am the vice president of the California State Sheriff's Association. I meet with the sheriffs on a regular basis. I can tell you cartels are here. They are here for multiple reasons. Selling drugs is lucrative. There's a lot of money to be made, and it focuses on the money. The other is that we have a very unsecure border right now. There's a lot of back and forth when it comes to the cartels and free movement up and down the state and across the border. We have intelligence on cartels as well as gangs and drug trafficking organizations and the like. Most of those crisscross each other many times. But be very clear, I'm not identifying or pointing a finger at any one cartel. I'm not. I'm saying that what took place is very much like what we've seen in the past when it comes to an execution by cartel.
Are you able to tell us the relationship between everybody on the board here, all the victims?
We can. I just received a briefing, but I think it might be better served. Lieutenant, are you able to give the relation of all those on the board? Or-
Yeah. I can, yeah.
Pardon.
I'm comfortable, we are comfortable telling you that the victims on this board are immediate family to each other. That's what I'm comfortable releasing now.
Okay, so
They're
I think what they're referring to, grandmother.
Yes.
Rosa is the grandmother. Lisa is the grandchild to someone who survived at the scene. This is another grandchild, I believe, of someone at the scene. This is a girlfriend very close to one of the survivors. Nicholas is Alyssa's young son. So I hope that helps.
What about the survivors? Sheriff, what can you share with us about them? What can you tell us about what their experience was? How are they going to be able to help you in your investigation?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of them, as I indicated, he could hear the shots being fired up and down the hallway. He put his feet up against the door and laid flat as he could, hoping no one would come in. He actually describes them rattling the doorknob to see if they could get in, and then they moved on, leaving him inside. The two others were hiding in a nearby trailer where one of the victims was shot in the threshold of the trailer door. Fortunately, the two suspects in this case never entered that trailer, and they remain hidden inside the trailer. So we have 3 surviving victims who are providing a great deal of information.
So last time that you were at this residence, did you say some drugs or weapons, or is that something that you found in this house in the past?
We have. In the past, we have found methamphetamine, marijuana, and automatic weapons. Mhm.
Do you have a description of the people that you're looking for that were involved in this homicide?
I do not.
Not at all. Not a description of a car, none whatsoever.
I know certain things that I'm not able to release right now. I will tell you, there's many of the questions that you're asking are they're great questions. They really are. And it's things as we move along, I'll be able to come back at the next press conference or the one following. Hopefully I can answer them with more detail.